stutter and stammer. You've got to be honest with yourself. At the point I wanted to be an actor, I'm like, if you go ahead and be an actor, if you want to count top 5 actors in Nigeria, do you think you will ever have enough time or skill to belong there? I told myself no, so I dropped that one. You must be that honest with yourself that come, don't waste your time, you cannot do this. So when I found my favorite writers and I started reading them, and I started writing, and I saw the feedback, and I compared, I said, yes, this is why God sent me here. If you pick 5 writers in Nigeria, I say, even, you know how you pick a segment, say, okay, even if you cannot be top 5 or top 10 writers across the country, say, if you pick business writers, or sports writers, or business writers, no, top 1, top 2, go and talk to that guy. Whatever you want to do, if you don't think you can be the best at it, that anywhere in the world, they say, oh, you're going to pick us people from every country, and everybody will unanimously call you, then you're wasting your time. That's the groundwork that needs to be done. And having done that is to realize, okay, truly, what do I need to do to establish this? And that's where we talk about goal setting. What needs to be done? I want to establish an SME. I want to establish a consultancy. I want to build a consumer good. What do I need to do? I've said it earlier. The most important thing to do is to decide that, okay, I'm going to do this. You don't need money. But okay. So the typical thing you would have thought I'll come here to tell you is, get an office, look for investors, do all that. If you want to do pure water, rough example. And you see, those models exist around us. I'm sure in this room, at least 1 or 2 people, we know families that have like a farm in their house where they raise fishes and all that for sale. Some will have like where they wanted their BQ, where they put the generator and put stuff that they're doing water and all that. Just identify what you have, what your strong points are, and use it to do what you need to do and grow from there. The most important goals you need to set are your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. Okay, this is why we want to do this, and this is how we want to do this. This is where we expect to be at this time. And set ambitious goals. If you think you can make it 10 naira, I asked the gentleman that is running digital business late last night when we were doing projections for this year. And we asked him, okay, so how much do you think this business will make in its first year? And I think he said 150 million naira. And I was upset, and I looked at him and I'm like, you don't even understand. I'm like, put down 1 billion. He said, I'm like, you see, you can't even achieve it. You can aim for 1 billion. If you aim for 1 billion, I can assure you that you will not land at 150. Maybe you land at 400 or 500 or 600. You won't land at 150. If you aim for 150, you can't make 150.
That's true.
You make 40 or 50 or 60 or 70. It's not possible. So it's to understand clearly, when you set those goals, don't set them understanding your own limitations. Set them understanding your understanding of the market. If, for example, the digital marketing industry in Nigeria spent 7 billion naira last year, and you're starting a new digital marketing, so you say out of that 7 billion naira, I want 2 billion. That's what you're going for. Even though you don't have an office, you don't even have a computer yet, you don't even have a car, you don't even pay your house rent. Don't look at it based on where you are and what you are. What is potentially available to you? If you want to run a PR agency, or you want to run a media enterprise, or you want to set up a production company, who are the biggest spenders for that line? How much did they spend last year? All this information, you will be amazed at how available they are. How much did they spend last year? How much of that do you want this year? Then you go for it. So when you want to close at 6 p.m. and you realize that, oh boy, this is March already, you can't close. But oftentimes we set very, very, very basic goals for ourselves. We are easily satisfied. We let our circumstances affect us, and we let the failures that we see around us depress us. Set your goals high. look for examples from India, from Singapore, from Canada, from America. You will see young boys from their basements doing amazing things. Look at success stories from all over the world and say, there is nothing different. I can do this. Now, I'll just speak briefly about what I did. I think the most important thing I think I did personally was being fortunate to understand early in life. I must have been about 15, 16 when I realized that, okay, I think I want to run. And from that point in time, I tried to find out if I wanted to be an entrepreneur or not. But now, how did I find out that I wanted to be an entrepreneur? In 1994, 95, I was an artist manager working with musicians in my area, including the gentleman that died a few months ago, Father Newton. So I like that. I remember putting up structures, you can't charge X amount, we can't charge below this amount, you have to have a contract, you have to have all that. I like that experience. It didn't work, but I like that experience. Then I fell in love with events, and in 1995 or 6, I started doing shows in my area. I lost a lot of money. So, name the big artists of that time, Adwale Ariba, Baba Fry, they would bring them. At times it would rain, nobody would come. At times they would be striking Lasso. We live close to Lasso, so Lasso was like the pool for our audience. And those were the days of cultism. So if there is even a big fight in Lasso on Thursday and I'm sure on Friday, then we just all that money. And I was doing odd jobs to raise the money. In our compound, our parents would bring you up in a way that if the gutter is full, bring yourself together, pack it. They will donate money, they will share. So I was raising money doing very intense stuff. But I was learning what not to do. So I made all those mistakes in my teenage year. I did a lot of failed shows. Then I started doing events in 98. We had an event on Adelaide here where we made quite some money. And the next year we did the event again and I was almost arrested. And all this while I had no one to you. So by the time I entered university in 1999, I knew clearly that I wasn't going to be a microbiologist. I knew what I wanted to do clearly. So all the friendships I was making, all the alliances I was building, I would go to the library and read for exams. And if I spent 5 hours in the library, I would probably spend 4.5 with books on music, on leadership, on literature, on business and all that. And when I think it's almost time, I'll just rush and go through my books. We'll go to school at night to do, they used to call it TDP. And then I found that I will spend the bulk of my time reading on music, reading on leadership, reading on business, reading on literature. So the influences, my philosophy was formed in university with my exposure to, say, a Mahatma Gandhi. Even though I was not a student of history or government or literature. Everything I knew that came to become useful to me when I started writing music for newspapers were things I read in Kennedy K. and UI. I familiarized myself with the history of music in Nigeria and globally. So I was fortunate and I was acquiring them then, not knowing how useful they would be. But because I had realized that this is my passion, this is what I like, I was just consuming them. So by the time I left school and I started writing, and friendships also. Remember, I had done music events, I had built friends across the music industry. So I remember I did in Komion after I left university. My mom died, I think, the month I was doing my project. So I felt ill. I was there for a long time. So I eventually got well and I was trying to get a job at Komion. And I remember that it took me about 6 months to get a job at Komion. I'll go to they will tell me to write something, I'll write it. They say, come there, I'll come. They say, oh, they can't find what I wrote. Go and do another one. I was parading there almost every week for 6 months. But the week I resumed, they have been trying to interview Two-Face in Libya. They had told all the recruiters in this room, Two-Face, no, I said, oh, Two-Face, no, I can get it. I want Two-Face staff. I can talk to Two-Face. I did that interview that evening. I brought it back. I was a superstar. And it wasn't a big deal, because this is Two-Face that we have got in first staff now. You know? They wanted to write something about others. I said, no, that one is, no, he was born in 1975, that's how it is. This one has 4 albums. These were the things I had consumed when I was going to be studying for microbiology. So even though I did not leave UI with the first class or any good degree, I knew I didn't care. I knew I would never ever have to go and look for a job with my certificate. I didn't spend 2 months in Encomium before they took the music calling from the guy that had been doing it for many years and gave it to me. Of course, the guy resigned. And from 2 pages, I wrote the page to 4. I remember there was a time that I wrote a rejoinder to an article in the Guardian. I published it on my column, then sent it to the Guardian, so the Guardian published it. And the article favored Ikeja and D1 at that time. It was an article by Pabensin Idonije trying to criticize and condemn pop music. And I thought, and I said, no, every era has its own art. This is art for today, don't condemn it. And he was published in the Guardian as a rejoinder. And Ikeja Adekunle called my publisher. I said, oh, Ms. KB, nice one, thank you. Give me that point. He came up, no, I didn't write that. I only wrote that. Now, I have been trying to reach Keke for a while. He won't even pick my calls. I saw him somewhere, I said, so I want to see, he said, no, what shall I tell you? So he calls me himself and courted me, and he became my friend. So you find that, now that Encomium, there is a soft sell magazine, not well respected. People don't like to have, everybody I go to interview from Lagbaja, they say, oh, why you don't belong in Encomium? Go to this, go to Kenya. I'll be like, no, I'm enjoying it here. So in 2007, I lived in Encomium. And I remember very well, I don't think I've ever said this story in public. I left Encomium, and it was a big fight with my boss. And by the time they were done with me, I only had a return ticket to London, which was a gift from my friend Ayeni Adekunle. A return ticket to London and about 650 naira, not thousands, in my bank account, and my Oyster card. So I had to leave for London. That's all I had. And I didn't know where my career was going, I didn't know what to do. And I can assure you that within 2-3 weeks, I had job offers from Guardian, I had from this day, I had from everywhere. People say, no, just come. No, just come. In fact, I think I published my first Guardian article, the second one was published in February, just a few weeks after I left Encomium. You need to know what it means for somebody who writes for soft sell, to write for a general interest, hardcore newspaper. So, like, by the time I came from London, I went to start at this day. And at this day, I realized that, oh wow, so this thing I even know safe is even about these people even like it. And I was doing this day on Sunday, I was a superstar. Now, it doesn't always mean that when we plan this thing, we always work in our way. Because I remember again that after I left, my friend was working in Punch and he was trying to get me to work for Punch. This is very common. And Punch will give you a written test if you want to be a reporter. So I went to write the test. And the result came out, I failed the test. And you know what that does to you when you think you're very good at something and they tell you that no, you cannot write. It means not journalism test, no, simple English language test. And they say I failed the test. And I said, okay, fine. And I told my friend, please, I'm not going to lobby about this. I'm not going to lobby to do what I think I know how to do and know how to do. So which was why I went to this day. Now, but guess what? I did so well in this day that 2 years after, while this day and I were still arguing about how much they would pay me and all that, because for the 2 years of this day, I didn't earn a dime. I didn't earn 10 kobo. But I knew I was writing for this day for myself, not for them, because I was marketing myself to the entire country.